Hi everyone, and welcome to the Magnus Archives podcast and podcast review. I need to make a better transition for that. But today we'll be reviewing episodes 15 and 16. 15 being Lost John's Cave, which we'll focus on first. The statement was given by Laura Popham on November 9th of 2014. Now, Laura goes into detail talking about how she loves exploring caves, going cave diving, and how there's a 3-county system that she wanted to check out. So this 3-county system, she actually wanted to check out a specific cave called Lost John's Cave with her sister Elena. Her sister Elena was staying there because she had lost her job, she was going through a few things, and they both thought that this would be kind of a good way for them to go out and do something. And so it kind of helped her get through her issues. So when they went on Saturday, June 13th, Laura did recall that the caves made her feel comfortable. It was like they were hugging her from the inside, and it felt really, really nice. And so it was a really great day outside, and so they were very excited to go out and do some cave diving. As they reached the cave diving entrance, though, they realized no one else was there. They were the only people there, which I thought was really, really weird because it was the perfect day to go diving. But she did tell her sister that what she wanted to do once they got deeper into the cave is that she wanted to do this thing where they just sat in utter darkness. They brought headlamps and stuff in case they slowly got into the cave and it began to go darker, but they did want to try the sitting in complete and utter darkness. And so on their way down, they climbed deeper and deeper, as deep as they could with the natural light before they had to turn their headlamps on. They followed the stream down into the entrance of Lost John's Cave, which was very narrow and very small. Very, very hard to get through, not for anyone who's claustrophobic, but if you are claustrophobic, you would not be able to do this at all. But once they got through, they kind of took a break, ate some food, chatted a little bit. And as they were chatting, as they were getting ready to do their bigger drop, Elena was telling her about some of the history of the Lost John's Cave and how they got their name. But she did say that the name was incorrect because they had the apostrophe in the wrong, place, apparently. So, but once, she was looking into the history of it, she found that 2 men, both by the name of John, went down and were the first people to go inside of Lost John's Cave. But then they were both lost inside of the cave and were never to be found again. Now, Elena thought this was so sweet because she was like, oh, if I were to ever get lost, and my last moments would be with you because you're my sister. And Laura was literally so appalled that she was like, I would not. This is too much of an intimate moment. It's the moment before I die, which I get it. I have a sister. I wouldn't want it to happen either. As they dropped further down, she remembered how other cave divers told her, be careful of the distancing, because it's always further down. You're going to always underestimate it. You're never going to overestimate it. And so she was preparing herself to get knocked in the head by her helmet or something like that, by the rock. But Elena surprisingly said, can I go first? Because she wanted to test out her fear and get it done and over with. So Elena went first, went all the way down. And then she also came down following her. And as she entered the water, because they were diving down into the water, every time she would try to get up, she would feel her helmet hit rock. So she was getting really, really confused and thought that she was going to drown. But then when she finally arose, she realized that it was just her sister Elena holding a rock over her helmet every single time, trying to be funny, which I get it, but I'd be scared as hell too. But then once they kind of reached that neutral area, they were kind of like, we think that we kind of want to just go back now. This was good enough. It was far enough down. It was a nice little thing to do. And so they both agreed on that. So as Laura went to turn to go look at her map, she heard Elena whisper, how lost are you? And then when she turned around and snapped at Elena, Elena just sat there looking confused. Why are you yelling at me? I didn't say anything. So that's a really creepy part. But as they were following the stream, Laura kept following it, and then she realized that the water just kept going and going and going, and there was no exit, which didn't make any sense because on our map there said that there would be an exit or a way for them to go back the way that they came. And so she found this little small, tiny passageway, smaller than the one in Lost John's Cave, and she tried to fit herself through it, but she kept getting scratched by all the rocks and everything, and she felt her skin bleeding. And it felt like as she kept going inside of this tunnel, it kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller as she kept going. So she just thought, okay, whatever, I'm done, I'm just gonna go back. As she tried to shuffle back, she felt that the tunnel literally closed behind her. And so she screamed as loud as she possibly could. And then that's when she got a little bit scared and she saw a light in front of her, like very, very out in front of her. And she realized that it was a candle. And there was a pale hand holding this candle. And as the candle got closer, she heard Elena screaming for help. And so she closed her eyes and she tried to pretend it wasn't there, which I get it. I'd pretend that monster wasn't there if I saw it too. But she pretended that it wasn't there, and she kept closing her eyes, and when she opened them, because the brightness got brighter and brighter, she realized that it was a different type of light that was coming through. It was the light from the sky. So she pushed herself through, scratching herself, bleeding more and more, getting more and more bruises, until she finally reached the surface. And then she screamed for help, and that's when she saw a rescue team coming with food and water, giving her food and water. And then she saw that the rescue team was rushing over to her. They were trying to help her as much as possible. All she kept asking was, "Where's my sister Elena? I just need to find my sister Elena." And they said that she was never to be found and that they couldn't find her whatsoever. And Laura has not gone cave diving since. Here are some of the important notes for the episode. So, Jonathan finds that they had no specific permit to do this exposition, and that there were a lot of other people there that day, so it doesn't follow along what they were saying. And Sasha says that the route that she described was borderline nonsensical, and it didn't make any sorts of sense. And so on the 15th of June, the husband of Laura called and was like, "Hey, my sister-in-law and my wife went on this expedition, but they haven't came home in the last 24 hours. Where did they go?" And so that's when the rescue team came and dived down into the cave and found Laura kneeling over melted candles in a child's prayer pose, which was really, really, really weird. Another aspect about this specific archive is that Laura also never stated that she brought a camera, but she did. And so Tim got access to the footage, and you have some mundane footage of just her and her sister cave diving, laughing, giggling together. But then, a little bit later, around 2 a.m. of June 15th, you hear Laura muttering in the dark over and over again, "Take her, not me," for 2 hours straight. And they just don't want to follow up with Laura anymore, which I get it. I wouldn't follow up with her either. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 16 of the Magnus Archives podcast review. And today we'll be reviewing Arachnophobia episode, which if you don't like spiders, or honestly, even if you really don't like spiders, this episode isn't that bad. It's more of a funny take on spiders, I feel like. But anyways, let's get into it. But the statement is given by Carlos Vittori. We don't have a specific date for this particular episode, but Mr. Carlos decides to go on a rant about how he feels about spiders. He used to live in an apartment that had a garden attached to it, and he was fine with reading out in the garden until he spotted a spider. Now, he said that you can read about spiders, watch movies that have spiders in them, he's fine with them. But once he knows that he's in the presence of a spider, that's when things change, which I get it. I have arachnophobia too. Spiders are fucking weird. But he felt their presence, and he felt like there was a bunch in the garden that were just staring at him, looking at him, watching him, basically. And so he didn't like that feeling. So he went and got a new apartment that does not have a garden and is just a little bit older. He also heard from his friend that his friend had a cat who loved to kill spiders. So therefore, Carlos decided to get a cat. And he named the cat Major Tom, which I think is adorable. And the first time that he spots the cat is in the middle of a kitchen wall. Now, he felt like the presence of the spider was a bit different. He felt like it was watching him back, like it was waiting with anticipation. He goes into major detail about this, because he said that he could see all the hairs on it, he could see it watching him back, he could feel it crawling on his skin. It was just really weird how in-depth that he was going with it. So he left Major Tom in the room, and he closed the door, and he went into his living room and kind of like tried to chill out for a little bit, watch some TV, relax for a little while to see if Major Tom would kill the spider. Now, about a couple hours later, he opens the door, and Major Tom runs out of the door because he's just like, nah, I'm not dealing with that spider. And so he looks and he sees a spider exactly where it was before. And so now he's mad at the cat, being like, why didn't you do your job? That's why I got you, so you can like kill the spider. And so of course, he just gets really upset. He grabs a mug that already has some sort of a liquid in it, and he takes it and he smashes it on the wall. And then as soon as he smashes it and realizes that the spider, and of course you can hear a little like crackle sound once it's done and over with, he goes straight to bed because he said that he just feels tired. And when he wakes up around lunchtime, he decides to go in and clean up all the mess, and he sees like a brown and green goop on one of the little shards of the mug, and then he just cleans it up, happy that it's gone now. And then that's when he notes that Sergeant Tom starts to come home less and less and less. And so every time he would have to like open the door, Sergeant Tom would leave, which is understandable. So then the second time he sees this same exact spider was actually when he, a few weeks later, when he decided to order takeout and relax in front of his TV. He turns on his TV, and then there's like a regular blue screen, but then he sees a black spot in the middle of the TV, and he is just pissed. He is very livid, and so he involuntarily finds himself getting up and walking over to the television, bringing up his leg and just kicking the shit out of the TV, which, yes, now the spider's dead and on your gym shoe, but you just fucking broke your fucking TV, bro. Like, what? So that's when his paranoia kind of like started to sit in, where he couldn't sleep anymore. He felt like he had to check every single small corner for that particular spider. He didn't even care if it was the other spiders. He just wanted that particular spider to show up again because he knew that it was going to show up again. Like, there was no way that it wasn't. And so about the fourth time, which was about 2 weeks later, he woke up and it was dangling right over his bed. So he immediately got up, which I've had this happen to me before, and I know that type of fucking scared reaction. I get it, I promise. But before he got up, he got a really good look at it and then realized that this isn't the first time that he's seen the spider before. In autumn of 1991, he actually saw this spider before at his grandmother's house. They went to his grandmother's house every single Sunday, and she had this large backyard that he would be able to explore. So then he comes upon this fallen hollow log, and inside of this log is a spider that's on top of a big lump sack that's white. And so he doesn't know why, but he immediately feels like he has to touch the spider. But as he's reaching to touch the spider, he falls and he trips, and his hand smashes down, killing the spider, but opening that large white sack. Now, if you don't already know what that is, that's a big egg sac. So spiders literally took over his entire body, like was all over him, a bunch of half-formed spiders. It's just, ugh. That's the only disgusting part about it. And so now he feels like he's been being haunted by a ghost spider, if that's even possible. And he felt like he was willed by something to just crush it. So now he's just scared that the spider's going to keep returning and returning and returning. And he's just scared because of it. And now welcome to the important notes part. So when talking about the important notes, Jonathan believes that this is completely incorrect and that they can't really investigate this very much, so he doesn't know what to do with it. But what he does also realize is that what makes him like more keen to wanting to know more about it is that the man who gave the statement actually passed away. But he passed away in his flat, and he was dead over a week, and the coroner said it was due to some choking asphyxiation. But upon arrival to his dead body in his flat, he was completely entombed in a spider web, like a deep spider web. And Jonathan tried to like play it off like, oh, maybe it's just like overdue time with having a lot of spiders in your apartment. No, spiders don't do that. He was completely entombed in a web. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Of course, I will be doing episodes roughly about twice a week. I know that I did miss this Friday, and I'm sorry about that. I will release 3 episodes this week, but I am in the process of moving, so if you see me in the same outfit for the next couple of weeks, it's just because I did it in advance. But if there is any tips that you guys have for me, let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.